is the number of sexual partners the same importance between a man and a woman?
How do you mean? Sorry, explain.
So if a guy has slept with 10 people versus 100 people, is it the same as if a woman slept with 10 people or 100 people? Is it the same?
I think there's definitely a double standard. But I think in any case, it should always come down to communication. So you want to understand why somebody has whatever number that they have. That's probably the most diplomatic answer I can give.
We weren't here for diplomacy.
But that's actually how I feel. I think you want to understand where someone's coming from. Have they been serially in relationships? So their count might be a little bit lower. They might have, had a bit more of a promiscuous past. Again, you want to understand. Have they moved on from that particular mindset? Are they still in that same mindset? Are they still working through some stuff? Are they, all that sort of stuff? Do they hold a lot of shame about it? You want to understand, I think. Then it doesn't really matter.
Can I clarify the question? Is that when you're sort of dating people and you're sort of talking about how many partners you've both had in the past? And how that's going to be perceived by...
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of times in dialogue, people, they want everything to be equal and even, right? So the question is it more of should it be, or is it, to you, more of a bad thing if a woman's slept with more guys than a guy? If a woman slept with more, like a lot of guys, or if a guy slept with a lot of women, is it worse for dating, or should it be worse for dating? And what's your thinking around that? Does that make sense? Because there is obviously more of a stigma around a woman having slept with more guys than there is about a guy. Like, women stereotypically lie downwards when they talk about how many guys they've been with. Men stereotypically lie upwards, right?
I don't understand lying.
Well, that's totally different conversation. I agree with that one, but...
I agree. Well, I would, state again that there's definitely a double standard. It's more natural, quote unquote, for a man to have higher numbers than for a woman. I know it's really a point of contention. Some men really, really don't like it. Others kind of like, and vice versa. I think it comes down to the person. But from a societal level, there's definitely a massive double standard. Just inherited things about what that actually means, because there's this whole idea of guys will be guys and they need to sow their wild oats and all that sort of stuff. I don't know to what degree that's still, applicable, or if it's still so much of an inherited sort of thing through previous generations, and women are supposed to be chaste and, what does it mean? Has she really bought into feminism and the whole, sexual revolution and all that sort of business? Or, is she mindful, all that sort of stuff. It's really hard to, express, but definitely double standard.
Man's opinion. Man in his mid-30s opinion. I wouldn't care, to be honest. Would not care. If someone, I wouldn't really ask, that question, how many people have you slept with? It wouldn't come out of my mouth. I suppose I'd ask a little bit about her dating history and find out where she's coming from to see, what she's looking for and
where she's coming from.
Yeah.
Oh, you just took that right out of context.
That was a reach. That was a bit of a reach.
That was a reach around.
Well, we've hit
I forgot what I was saying. No, it really wouldn't. It really wouldn't have an effect on how I perceive her. Like if she's, hasn't been with many people.
Do you think do you think that's the normal, that you don't?
I guess I have a stereotypical view of a man who might fall into this category of, oh wow, she slept with 100 guys. That's too many. But I'm not sure if I know any men like that?
It's an interesting. There's more reason why I'm asking. It's part of it's because you talk about the double standard side of things, right? Because it's the type of thing that I think about. Like for me, I would never ask. It seems like a strange question to ask, but I know it's something that gets talked about in some of the things that I watch. It's interesting because I would never ask, and if the count was high, I would want to know why. Yeah, it makes sense for both genders, to be fair. Because you're kind of going to, the why matters so much, right? If this is, you're dealing with someone who's insecure and is trying to get validation through sex, that's a big why question mark. The double standard side of things I find interesting because to some degree there should be a double standard, just how far the standard goes. Because for a man to sleep with lots of women is difficult. Like it requires actual skill and to be able to demonstrate some form of like social value. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do, right? Most guys can't, right? Most women, pretty much all women can, right? Stand on the side of the road with the sign that says "Who wants sex?" You're gonna be fine, right? Or a guy, an actual does that make sense, right? An actual demonstration of value, no matter how you cut it, it's a hard thing for a man to accomplish. So you'd expect that there ought to be some degree of double standard, wouldn't you? Or would you? Like this is a thing that I'm actually putting out there as a thought process.
Yeah.
For me, it doesn't really matter because everybody is at different stages in their lives. Like even if, say, someone was like basically whoring around when they were younger, they might have gotten to that place where they're more mature and not even like want to settle down and all that stuff. So I think I'll be focusing more on where are you right now? Okay. Of course, I want to know your past a little bit, but not like I won't hold it against you, but I kind of want to know a little bit, but not to hold it against you. Then who are you now?
Yeah.
How many people are you sleeping with now?
No, you got something.
What is
No, not that.
is more important?
Yeah. If once we call it a relationship, then I want to know. But if we're still like getting to know each other, you're doing your thing, I might be doing my own thing too, so that's fine to a certain level. Yeah. So that is that's how I see it. Because people can maybe even as a girl, and maybe the female choose maybe in their past they were, let's say, prostitutes. Yeah. Maybe something put them in that situation where they have to do that. And maybe their accounts went up. So you can't use it against the person. Or else you're a person that is particular about, have a thing against, that field of work kind of, but no, I don't think it should matter really. Yeah.
If I was coming from my old self of being a bit traditional, when a guy would say, I've slept with this many women, that would actually give me alarm bells when I was like looking for a relationship, someone who's, someone I can trust. Then it's like, why did this person sleep with so many women is the first thing. It's like, is this, then I start thinking STDs as well, right? And so that's why I also I don't directly ask, but the way I have conversations then digs up that sort of information. So I can't help but at times from my old conditioning is think, oh, he slept with so many women. Is he a playboy? It's like, okay, maybe not a good idea to associate with this guy then because it's not relationship material. So that's sort of like something that's played in my head before. But then once I actually ask the questions, like, where are you right now? And see the patterns, then that's where I will actually base my decision, whether to continue this further or not. But that does bring up some things with me, the amount of,
Yeah, but then let me ask you ladies, would you rather date a guy who slept with no women or 6 women?
6. Just because it's
Like all else being equal, of course.
Yeah. I guess for me, it's like I want a man who has a bit of experience.
Right.
Yeah.
It depends on the connection, because if that's, if you happen to be the right person for that person at that time.
All else being equal.
Except that's not equal, so it can't actually be equal. So
Right.
yeah, it always comes down to the connection.
If I have to choose based on what you just said, without thinking about every other thing around it, 0.
Interesting.
And that's me personally.
Why?
Oh, I can coach him to do things. I love
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love that. This
You're
is how you do
basically-
this.
You mold him.
Yes, mama likes it.
You mold him to your exactly what you want. Hey, that's like
Yeah, no,
I
I get
should
it.
turn it down.
I love that answer.
That's good.
I love that answer so much.
I think
So the reason why I was asking you guys this, right, is that, yeah, again, like I mentioned, it's never been a thing that it's been particularly concerning to me. Plus, it would feel like a double standard for me, to be fair. But I've been trying to like watch a lot of different content with like conflicting views on a lot of topics around dating recently, just trying to forcibly expand the way that I think about things. And one thing that has occurred to me, and I don't know if you can relate, but one thing has occurred to me, if I had that option, right, a woman who slept with 0 or 10, I'd say 0. That would be my preference.
why?
Even though if I've met a woman who slept with 20 guys or 30 guys, if the reason for it was okay and she was an awesome chick, I'd date her, right? But if I was given the other option, like all else being equal, I would pick the. So there's still some sort of internal response mechanism that I don't know if it's society or not, because I've never really thought much about it. But like as in, I've never spent time caring about how many guys a woman slept with before. It's never been a thing I've spent much time thinking about. But yes, still, if I was given the option, I feel like I'd choose 0 over many. Which I guess, okay, why am I saying that? I'm saying that because, yeah, I guess I'm asking whether we think that's a double standard or a society given thing, or if there's something more primal to it. Because again, there is the parental certainty, all that kind of stuff. What role is that playing in how we, because there's nature and nurture, right? Yeah. So what I'm saying is there still a degree to which that is a nature thing and it's overridden by, my logic, hence I don't really date that way. I'm not dating by that preference. Yeah. Even though if given the equal things, right? I don't know if is that something you can relate to, I guess.
Well, I was going to ask, is there a particular thought or something that's going through your mind when you're comparing someone who's slept with no one and someone who's slept with 6 or 10 different men? Is it like a comparison thing or...
So you know what? When you ask me that, a couple of things happen really quickly, right? The first thing that happens is, baggage. Right? Then the next thing that comes into my head is, yeah, but you know what? I think it's just a really raw primal thing of having been the only guy who's gone there. And that feels like a really childish thing to say, but that feels like the most raw gut response that I feel in response.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like me trying to be honest about a really weird type of core response, right? Even though it's not how I behave. But I don't know if you can relate to it. Maybe you can't. Maybe this is just a me thing. That's I guess why.
I don't think it's a you thing. Like, okay, now I'm taking things back to Africa a little bit. Yes. Now, to date, and I know it's just like you said, it might be a little bit of a primal thing. It is a primal thing because even then, years ago, until maybe till now, I'm not sure. I've left for a while now, but like when like paying the bridal price of a girl kind of thing, that is still considered, is she a virgin kind of stuff. Yeah, and men actually, even when they're dating, still maybe not so much now, still will want, she's a virgin, she hasn't got much experience, she hasn't been, all that stuff, and they tend to flock around that than a girl that's had a little bit more experience than usual. So I just feel going towards that, and I feel it's more of the primal thing, just like Damien have said, a little bit. Most men might not want to accept that, but I think it's still there somewhere in the back of their heads.
But is it? Oh, thank you. Yeah. Could it also be just, patriarchal society versus matriarchal society?
Yeah.
So many generations, what we call as primal is actually quite cultural.
Yeah. And that's complicated, right? Like that's honestly really complicated. It's hard because I know a lot of people like to use, what's the term they usually use? Like when we look at how we think people ought to behave, right? Based on genetics, right? But we miss the fact that it's like, yeah, women should be predisposed to generally preferring a taller guy. for protection purposes, but it's about degree, right? To what degree is that still playing? It doesn't have to be playing a massive role, but it could be playing a small role, right? And it could be like that. It could be one of those things where it's become societal for because of a slight genetic preference, but it might only be slight. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like for me, it's probably a slight thing, but it doesn't really play a huge role in the bigger things. But culturally, make it into a big deal. I don't know, and that's I suppose what I'm playing with to some degree.
There could be some evolutionary or genetic predisposition to having less competition, or
but it might only be
something
small.
of that nature. But that has grown into a higher value for a virgin when you come to be married away to the
Well, I suppose in a super, super primal way, like just going, I don't really understand why, but if a man had a high account, or not like obscenely high, but a high account, you think, okay, well, he's desirable. So he's got something. So it's worth more investigation.
Yeah, I mean, that happened with my ex. Like a guy who liked her tried to keep us apart. And he was saying to me behind her back, she's like a total bitch. And she like is really, hard on guys. And I'm like, that's kind of hot. And he said to her, this guy he slept with, I can't remember what he said. He said like thousands. He slept with thousands of women. Like, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, yeah, he probably knows what he's doing. He just drew us closer together. But it's interesting. I guess that's what I was asking. Is there, because normally you'd expect a reciprocal. If I'm feeling my gut like, I'd rather she had no guys. And if a woman feels no guy, I'd rather he had a little bit of experience. You'd see a bit of reciprocation. That's why I was asking the question.
I think in the past, I would have said that I would like to date someone who has experience, who has slept with, I don't know, however many men. But I think now I've reached a point where like either is absolutely fine. Like you said, if a man has slept with no one or 6 people, it's like
it's
whatever.
The
It's
The
connection you have with that
well,
person.
that takes
and
primary thing. And
that's
I feel
their
like it's the same
story.
way.
And if you can sort of merge your journeys together, that's your unique sort of story. It's like, oh,
interesting.
wow, you haven't slept with anyone.
I'd
Let's
love
go
to
slow
know, and I've looked for research. I can't find any research what percentage of men actually rate it super high that a woman has to have a low partner count. Because I don't have it, right? I don't have that need. You don't have that need. But I'd like to know how many guys do. Because I hear people talking about it. Some guys like, oh, no, she's got to be really low. But I'm not hanging around with guys who do. But that doesn't mean anything because I could be self-selecting for friends who have certain viewpoints. Like you.
But I think also that from now I'm not a guy, but I'm generally from what I've seen and observed, I think his age also has a lot to do with it. The younger men tend to want women with experience, while the older ones want generally
Fresher,
younger.
Pressure. Graphic imagery. I get it.
untainted by the years.
Pure.
But generally, the older men tend to do that because they want some sort of control, someone they can have a little bit more control into it, while the younger ones are wanting the mature women, thinking, oh, this is a better life. She knows what she's doing, kind of thing, which you understand. But generally, going from my observation of what's happening around me, that's what